You've already started moving and you didn't hesitate. You didn't stay stuck. You didn't keep going back and forth. You heard God and you've responded. So this is not about trying to hear him again. And it's not about going back to try and figure anything out. You already have what you need. So now the question is, how do you walk this thing out? How do you steward what God has already shown you? That's where we are right now. And this is where your life begins to take shape. Because in James 1:22, it says, be doers of the word, not hearers only. And you have stepped into that. You're not just hearing anymore. You're not just discerning. And you're not just confirming. You're doing now. But now we move into something deeper. Because the question is no longer, God, what are you saying? Now the question becomes, how do I walk this out well? How do I steward what he's shown me? So now we go further. Because doing what God said is one thing. Building your life around it is something totally different. And that is where maturity happens. This is where many people stop growing. Not because they didn't hear God, but because they just didn't know how to carry it out. But that is not where you are. You're already moving. Now we build. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain. That means what God has shown you spiritually must take form in your life practically. And this is where your life begins to align with what he said, not by pressure, not in striving, but in your intention. Movement with God requires structure, not rigid structure, not forced routines, but intentional alignment. Because what God reveals in the spirit still has to be carried out in your life. So this is where your planning matters, your consistency matters, your discipline matters, not as work, but as agreement with God. You've already been obedient, so now the question is, can you sustain what God has started in you? Because many people hear clearly, they move quickly, they start strong, but they do not continue steadily. And it's not because they lack faith. It's because they never built a life that could hold what God gave them. So now your obedience matures into consistency. And this is where you show up when it's quiet. You keep going when it's not emotional. You follow through when no one is watching, and not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you believe what God said. Because you build what you believe. If God said it, you move like it's true. If God showed it, you begin to structure your life around it. Your habits start to shift. Your routines start to reflect it. Your decisions start to align with it. Not perfectly, but intentionally. And this is important. You're not trying to earn anything from God. You're not trying to prove your obedience. You're walking in partnership with what he has already confirmed. This is a life led by the Holy Spirit. So now your life is to become evidence, not just in what you say, but how you live, how you move, your intentions. There's a steadiness in you now, clarity, a consistency, because you're no longer just hearing him, you are living what he said. The purposeful woman does not just move when God speaks. She builds her life around what he said. You've already started moving. Now, let's walk it out well, because this is who you are now. You are the purposeful woman.